Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another round of Bases Picks. Now I think there's a Showtime card and a top rank card on this weekend, but let's be honest, there's only one card anyone's caring about. So I'm going to talk about the main three fights on that card. I might touch on some of the others. To be honest, I'm gonna leave those, but yeah, we're gonna talk about the main ones. I'm keen to see Ben Whittaker's fight. I think he's gonna do well on the streaming portion. The Buddy Jack fight, I was looking forward to Andrew Tabiti and Tyrone Spong, but I've been told that Spong is no longer in the fight, so less on that. Ramla Ali, great first woman on the card or whatnot, but yeah, I'm just going to keep this to the main three fights, and yeah, we're going to take it from there. So without further ado, let's get into them picks. So first, we got Callum Smith versus Matthew Bauderlique. Now I said in a previous video that Bauderlique's a very good southpaw, European champion. I think he's actually vacated that title now because this is a final eliminator for the WBC. One good thing about Bauderlique, he's very active, he's very sort of athletic, and he can move very well. But one thing I've noticed he does is he uses up, I would say, a bit more energy than he needs to when he's sort of shifting in and out of range. He's very springy as opposed to just angling himself off. Now this could potentially cause him to get tired a bit down the stretch, especially if he's getting hit with shots to the body that's going to slow him down. I think that Callum Smith is ultimately going to incrementally edge his way forward towards him, which is something that Buddy McGurk's been training, and we can see that his shots are he's definitely sitting on those shots a lot more now. So I feel like he's going to systematically walk Bauderlique down, break him down to the body and stop. I definitely see this fight ending as a stoppage for Callum Smith, and I'm predicting that he's going to get it done around about round 9. I think 9 or 10. Bauderlique's going to be game, he's going to be in there, but I feel as if within the sort of by the 9th or the 10th round, I feel like, yeah, that stoppage is gonna take place. So that's my prediction. Callum Smith, TKO victory, rounds 9 to 10. Next up, we got Filip Hergovic against Zhang. Now, this is actually a much better fight than I think some people are giving it credit for. Zhang is a very good technical southpaw. He's a giant of a man, 6'6". He's got incredible power in both his left and his right hand. His straight left is definitely deadly, and he does find good ways to sell it up behind his fairly high guard that he uses. A lot of people make make use and issues about his fight with Jerry Forrest. Obviously a lot of people aren't aware, maybe they haven't watched the after fight commentaries or done the research. He actually had something wrong with his kidneys that day, so I don't think he was retaining water properly, so he became incredibly dehydrated during that fight, or while the fight was taking place, hence why after the 3rd round he was pretty much virtually out on his feet, and the fact that he even survived to the end of the 8th round was a compliment, and a compliment to his courage and his toughness. Even though you could say, well, to be fair, he should have got Jerry Forrest out of there from that 3rd round, but he was very dangerous. In his fights subsequently since then, that's been rectified, the issue he had, the medical issue, and he seems to be okay, but he's been taking people out early. So Filip Hergovic has got to be very careful, obviously early on. They both got power, but Zhang is about 20 pounds heavier than him, I believe, or it could be as much as 40 pounds. He actually might be in the 280s, whereas Hergovic, I believe, is in the 240s for this one. So He's got to be careful early on. He's definitely got to stay away from that left hand. So he's got to angle himself to his left hand side. Actually, no, he might even be better off angling himself towards his right hand side, keeping his foot on the outside of Zhang's to make sure that he can line him up for his straight right. Now, Zhang, I definitely think is going to ask some questions of Hergovic, and I definitely think he's going to test his chin as well. However, I do see Hergovic being able to last a bit longer down the stretch. I think Zhang's going to be good for about 6 to 7 rounds, and then Hergovic will be able to sort of, I reckon, last closer to like 10. Now, I said in a preview, I think that if Zhang dips forward at any time trying to ride or get underneath one of Hergovic's shots, because they're the same height, that's where I think he's going to fall apart, because Hergovic is very good at chopping down the right hand behind the back of the ear and even behind the back of the head. He can be very dirty with those shots when he wants to be. And if he does catch Zhang with any of those, he will be disorientated and he will go down and stay down. But my prediction, I do think that Hergovic is going to come through just because he is the fresher. Zhang is 39. Yeah, he hasn't taken a lot of wars, but he is on the older scale. He's a bit slower. Hergovic is just turning 30. Like, he's fresher. They punch similarly, and I think Hergovic is actually in shape for this fight, which means he's definitely looking to go around and he's gonna have the stamina advantage. So I do see Hergovic winning this fight within the first 8 rounds. I'm predicting about round 6, but it could end quicker than that. It could end after that, but I think round 6 is sort of going to be the tipping point and going to be where this fight ends, in my opinion. Now on to the main event. Now obviously this is the one that everyone cares about. I always like to wait until after the weigh-ins before I give these, because sometimes, especially in the lower weights, it can kind of tell you a little bit about whether how someone made weight or what essentially their mindset is, especially when it comes to face-off. There's what they do afterwards, what they do during. Sometimes you can tell body language of someone, whether they look uncomfortable or not. Now, this isn't going to be one of those type of breakdown videos. I'll leave that to Chris Andre. He's a master at that. Even someone like Catman is on that level. I'm just here to look at things on the surface level. Now, ultimately, the easiest way to predict this fight is to say, look at the first one. Usyk pretty much ran roughshod over AJ. I had it 9 rounds to 3. A lot of people had it that way. Some people had it 8 to 4. Inexplicably, a judge gave it 7-5. I watched some interviews recently. I remember Alex Krasiuk did an interview yesterday in whereby he said that part of the negotiations for the first fight was Anthony Joshua personally said, I want to, I'm going to take this fight, but if anything goes wrong and I get it wrong the first time, I want a chance to be able to get it right. To which Usyk said, no, that's okay, I get the chance to beat him twice, and they accepted the terms. But even that kind of saying will tell you, okay, so a lot of people have said Anthony Joshua was fighting that first fight like he knew he had a rematch if it didn't go right. Well, this time there is no rematch. There is absolutely nowhere to hide. There's nothing you do outside of getting the victory, because if you don't get the victory, yeah, you can still be in some big fights, but I don't see you challenging for titles again unless you're prepared to go through the murderer's row to get yourself into a mandatory ranking for one of them. Now, rather than do how I see the fight playing out and what's going to happen in each round and blah, 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 I'm going to be very similar to what I did in my How AJ Wins and How Usyk Wins videos. Ultimately, Usyk has to start fast and start aggressive just as he did last time, potentially even put a bit more mustard behind his shots, because ultimately at this point he's felt AJ's power, he knows his timing, he knows his distance to where AJ is. He got all of that out of the way in the first fight, and he did it from the very first round. So there's absolutely no reason to believe that he's not able to do it from the first round this time. He's also coming at the exact same weight that he was, half a pound heavier, while AJ is coming 4 pounds heavier. So you would now think that Usyk has the even more of a speed advantage than he had in the first fight, because AJ is 4 pounds heavier. That may not make a huge amount of difference, but those microseconds really tell. On the other hand, as we know from AJ, he has to start purposefully, but he can't be overzealous. He has to be able to go into the fire, understand he's gonna get hit, be prepared to take those shots, and say, look, every time you give me a shot, I'm gonna give you back 2. Like, anytime you catch me, he has to be on Terence Crawford mode. I need to get that back before I even stick to the game plan. I need to get this shot back against you. That's his mindset. He has to be, if you hit me, I'm going to hit you back twice, and I'm going to hit you back doubly as hard. Does AJ have that mentality? I'm not sure. The Robert Garcia thing, I think people are making too much of that at this point, because ultimately, as a lot of credible people have said, it takes between 3 to 5 camps to fully ingratiate yourself into a new philosophy and a new way of training. It takes a long time to unlearn habits that you've had over the years, and he's had nothing but the same habits from Robert McCracken for like the last 12 years or so. So when you look at it, you say, all right, how does he win this fight? Well, as I said, he's got to go through the fire. He's got to push forward, and he has to hit Usyk's body. Now, I'm not even talking about trying to go for the solar plexus, the ribs, the kidneys. Like, literally, he needs every ramrod jab he throws out needs to go to that chest. He needs to almost wind Usyk from the top down, up until the point where he has to catch his breath before then trying to unload those heavy shots. He's also got to be methodical with this. He can't just try and go for broke over 5 rounds as a lot of people predict he will, because ultimately Usyk's too crafty to be able to fall into those type of traps. He's expecting that from Anthony Joshua. So he's going to know how to protect himself for those rounds, in the anticipation that Anthony Joshua is going to tire himself out, and then he can sort of take over. But Usyk, being a technician himself, he will download data, but he doesn't also want to go down too many rounds, because I truly believe if this fight goes the distance and it goes to the cards, Anthony Joshua wins. I've seen G-Man say something very similar. I've seen some other people say similar things, that AJ, all he needs to do is try and do better, slightly better than he did the first time, and he'll win it on points. And the whole of the UK, the whole of Africa, and some other surrounding territories essentially need AJ to win this fight. So the whole of the UK, they say, should be backing him. But then you could say, well, maybe the rest of Europe, minus Russia, are going to be backing Usyk. You say to yourself, what's Anthony Joshua fighting for? Because I don't truly know. Some people say, well, he's fighting for his legacy. He's fighting for his right to exist and his right to be claimed as like the best of the game. Well, Usyk's fighting for that as well. But Usyk's also fighting for his country. He's fighting for the livelihoods of friends, family members, associates he's known since school. Like, he's on a platform to give hope to a nation that at the moment is not that hopeful. That's a very powerful message, and it's going to take some stopping to stop that man. Can Anthony Joshua do it? Yes, he can. Will he? I've got to be honest, and I have to say no, I don't think he will. As I said, if he can get to the end of this fight and have not have been dropped or anything like that, then I think he's got it on points. But I do think Usyk's going to start a little faster than he did, because he knows his gas tank is quality. He knows he can absorb a shot from AJ if he has to, and he knows he can hurt AJ. I think he's going to sit down on some of his shots a little more than he did previously. He's still going to mix it up. He's still going to do his tricks to frustrate and wear out and tire out AJ mentally, because AJ likes to think. He thinks a lot. Nothing he does is really instinctual. It's all a process. Usyk is both instinctual and process, but he's just quicker at it. Plus he's naturally quicker, naturally quicker, better IQ, better foot placement, better movement, better stance. So AJ has the size and the power, Usyk has everything else. My prediction, in the first fight I predicted that Usyk was going to win. I predicted there was going to be a knockout in the 10th round. It wasn't far off, to be fair. This time I'm predicting that Usyk ends this inside 8. By the 8th round, I can see it being over. Now, usually I'm a person that would much rather be right and unhappy than wrong and joyous. On this occasion, however, I actually do hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. Because as much as I am a big Usyk fan, I'm very, very big Usyk fan. I love the guy as a boxer. I, like a lot of people, want Joshua to win because I feel it benefits us. Although, to be fair, we're going to have a lot more of those very expensive nights if the money is on this side of the pond. So there's swings and roundabouts either way, but there'll definitely be a lot more opportunities if Anthony Joshua wins. But yeah, that's my prediction. I think Usyk gets this fight done and dusted inside 8 rounds. But again, I hope I'm wrong. Everyone, please leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think, and if you agree, cool. If you disagree, cool. And if you disagree because you're patriot of the Brit, backing the Brit, I totally get it. But I would much rather you disagree because you see something that I don't in this fight, as opposed to that, because that doesn't really help. That being said, thank you very much. I'm going to leave it there, and that's Basis Picks. Locked.